Hey everyone, my name is Sagar. So welcome to our exclusive interview show today. And today we have a very special guest, and he's just very dynamic and very young personality. And we just met over internet recently, and we talked about a lot about podcast, and he's into podcast funnel, how you can sell and how you can grow your podcast with a massive audience, right? So I would like to welcome Parker. I would like to welcome Parker to our show, and welcome Parker, and thank you so much for joining us. We are very honored and very thankful to you that you accepted that to come to our show. And please tell us about your backstory and how you got started this journey. All are really excited to see you and listen from you.
Awesome. Yeah. So my name is Parker Woodward. I actually got started in high school. My dad wanted me to basically do some backside stuff for his podcast of basically just doing the show notes, making sure the transcriptions were all set up. So I got into doing that a whole bunch. I actually did not like it at all. But it was a job basically for me, making money in high school. And then it got to actually, after basically before I started college, my brother's friend actually reached out to me. And he was just like, hey, I heard that you're really good at podcasts. Your brother talked about that. So would you mind actually doing that for me? And I was like, well, I actually don't know anything about it, but I can definitely YouTube it and I can help you out. And I was charging like $10 an hour, $15 an hour, whatever it was at the time. And so he was just like, for that cheap of a price, man, sure, why not? And so literally, just started out like that with a podcast. And it's actually been interesting as I've transitioned to going from being not only a podcast manager and producer, but also a podcast coach. I've understood actually that in order to increase my prices and to actually help people more, there was a lot of different aspects that I actually needed to help people to be able to do, which I'll talk about a little bit in the presentation today. But yeah, that's a short story basically of, I guess, how I kind of got started in this whole world. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. So, what is that one thing that motivates you? You can say to start this podcast, your podcast journey. What is that one thing?
The one thing that got me to start my podcast journey,
Yeah,
oh man, there's different stages of it. So in order for me to start helping others, I had to overcome false beliefs, overcome the false beliefs that number one, my product or service was helpful. It's a huge
yeah,
thing that actually people need to focus on. And number two was the fact that actually through my service, I was able to help other people accomplish the dreams and as well as the purpose. I believe every one of us on this earth has a purpose. And when
yeah.
we're able to overcome that, we're able to help people immensely more. So that was a huge thing. The second part, though, actually my podcast. So my business and my podcast do totally different things. Podcast, though, it was a guilt trip. I was a podcast producer manager who didn't have a podcast. I was like, what the frick is that? That is the most hypocritical thing you could do. And so basically decided like, okay, I need my podcast. And that was when I really had the most growth, was understanding of like, okay, this is actually the problems that all my clients are going through. So why not offer them the things that I hate about my podcast? And that was the biggest step of really helping me to scale and help other people, was understanding the true, there's two different sides of the people you're going to help. For those of you who are listening, you're going to be helping people, your target avatar, the target person you're able to help, but then you have to help your transformed avatar as well. Now, your transformed avatar is totally different because my target avatar is people basically who want to launch a podcast, who have that kind of side of it. My transformed avatar is somebody who actually has a successful podcast and is wanting to do exactly what we're talking about today, which is actually how to sell your high ticket courses and as well as your coaching programs through your podcast, which is a huge thing that a lot of people are really struggling with right now.
Yes, I think you got lots of information from your dad that like he is doing from so long time, and he's the greatest motivation. What I believe, yeah. And so, what are the things like? Just quickly share that. What are the roadblocks? What are the challenges you faced during this your journey?
The biggest challenges for my journey.
Yep.
Oh man, a huge challenge for me is why. Like, why am I doing this? There is so many more easy ways to make money than being an online entrepreneur. You can do
Correct.
the 9 to 5 route and stuff like that. And it's so much easier. You don't have to worry about reaching out to clients. You don't have to worry about creating new products. You have to worry about that next thing that you're going to be able to do. All that stuff is kind of laid out for you. And so the hardest part is being like, okay, what's going to drive me to not only start, but do what's known as the second decision. So your first time you start something, really easy, right? You just do it. The whole Nike logo, just do it. It's really easy to start. But when you
Yep.
get to, I love running. And in running, there's what's known as a marathon. A marathon is a 26-mile race. I believe it's 30 to 40 kilometers, I think is what it is. I can't
Yep.
remember exactly what it is. Yeah, it's something like that. And so when I was running, I ran a marathon once. And in a marathon, you hit the wall. It's right around mile 18. So right around the 25th kilometer you're gonna hit. And you have to decide.
Yep.
I've started this. I'm at this point. How much faster can I go right now? And so that's a huge thing. When you're listening to this, you're going to hit that point of this is immensely difficult. This is not as easy as I thought it was. And there's a great quote actually by this is by a philosopher who was in Germany. His name was Nietzsche. So Nietzsche basically said, he who has a strong enough why can get over any how. So if there's anything difficult, you can always get over it. So always, for me, that's a huge thing. It's actually in my journaling. I always write out, why am I about to do what I'm going to do? And it allows me to actually have a lot more strength and excitement to continue.
Yeah, journaling is the very powerful tool to keep on track and be more motivated, like very focused towards your goal. Yeah. So, like, I'd like to know, like, how you in the first early stage, how you grow your audience. You can say
Yeah.
how
So
how build your yeah.
yeah. So the best way to grow your audience is always through other people's platforms. That's been the number one way that I've actually been able to scale my audience the way it's been right now. And it's a huge thing of basically understanding of how is it that I can not only provide value to others, but those underneath them. So it's a huge thing of just like, okay, so if I'm going to help somebody launch a podcast, what are they going to do it for? So I actually had Cassie Brown, who's in the ClickFunnels community, and she was a coach. And so basically her and I connected. I helped one of her friends and stuff like that through their podcast. I ended up doing hers. And she's like, okay, come in my group and help help do the podcast stuff. And the biggest thing that helped bring people over to my Facebook group and also over to my profile and everything like that, and also even my messenger of actually booking clients and everything from it was, okay, so I have this one thing, podcasts. I'm very good at it. I understand, the ins and the outs of it. I understand the SEO. I understand all these different pieces. And so the biggest thing that helped me was, okay, if I can help them do what it is that they're called to do, which was, using digital marketing coaches, being a coach, all of them are coaches. So that was a huge thing of, okay, here's how to actually take your coaching programs, turn it into podcast episodes for people to actually have them to basically have people go from listening to the podcast, actually becoming a true client. And so that was a big way. On top of that, you need to make sure that you're constantly testing hooks, stories, and offers. So I use this actually in my podcast. My podcast is all about actually penetrating other markets with my own content. So if I'm going to be talking about, how to scale your podcast, it's going to be for a specific reason, like I just said. And I have different ways of actually getting people that result. And so I have trainings I'll do in my Facebook group. I need to get back into doing it. I've become very lazy with that one. But basically of having new headlines, of being just like, okay, hey, here is this new thing. Here is working on something right now, actually, it was last night, where literally I stayed up until probably 11 o'clock, literally just studying Elon Musk. So if anyone who knows what Elon Musk is, he's the crazy guy with the electric cars, and he's launching rockets to Mars. Just a weird dude, but is so intelligent. It's amazing. And he has this amazing strategy where he has this great goal: get people to Mars. In order to do that, there's so many more steps in order to get there. So you understood, it's like, okay, so rockets is the first thing we got to do. We got to get people to Mars. Now, in order to do that, he had to create a way to actually monetize his rockets. And that was through creating a specific thing that'll massively reduce the cost to actually create a rocket and to actually have it relaunch and stuff like that.
Reuse that same rocket.
Exactly. Yeah. And so that was his big thing. And so I understand, like, okay, that's what I need to do for my clients. And what my clients need is having a rocket that they can constantly reuse. That's the podcast of being like, okay, so I have this thing that's going to be great, and here's how I'm going to fund it. And so that is a big thing of just like constantly think about what's the next problem your people are going to face, create the solution for it, and then pitch it to your audience. That way people are constantly getting excited for new things that you have out, new trainings, new courses, new offers. You focus on affiliate stuff through ClickFunnels. Yeah.
Yep.
And so different
Yep.
ways where you're able to actually get more affiliates is doing it for different people.
Yep.
Getting people leads is a huge thing. It's one of the biggest things you focus on, one of the biggest things you're an expert at.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so getting people leads for a specific type of thing without this or, different type of big domino statement type things allows you to actually generate more of an audience because you're penetrating different audiences. Kind of a long answer. Sorry.
Yeah, no problem. Now, after getting lots of audience, now biggest challenges many podcasters, many entrepreneurs face feel that is they fail to engage with and put them into a long term to a lengthy format of podcast. So how do you keep engaged with your audience and putting them coming back again and again to your podcast?
So how to make sure you get retention on your
Yep.
podcast listeners is going to be through actually creating binge-worthy episodes. So this is actually, if a binge is when you're constantly consuming the same thing over and over and over again, Netflix or all these different types of things. The way they do that is by having open loops, or basically ways of just like, okay, he just talked about this. I want to make sure I'm there for when he talks about it again. It's a huge thing. So having those open loops, having 8 to 15 minute short episodes for people to constantly consume on top of actually sending them to your Facebook group is a huge bonus for getting people to stay on your podcast. This is one of the biggest things I actually have in my outros right now is my Facebook group. And it's actually grown significantly since I put the outro in.
Yeah.
Literally just because it's one of those things where people are like, okay, so there's an amazing guy. His name is Seth Godin. He wrote a book called Tribes. Yeah. So he's an amazing author. And in his book, he talked he's amazing. And one of the things he talked about, this is where I got the idea from, is the fact that the most successful groups of people are the ones where it's not just communication between, the top and, the people underneath them. It's the conversations as well with the bottom people to the top. And so if you get people to your Facebook group, it allows that, even conversation where you're literally able to discuss different types of things. Having a Facebook Live, you're literally opening it up to a Q&A, or having these different types of things where it's even giving you ideas for future episodes, where you're able to literally say, hey, this was talked about in the Facebook group. This is a problem people have. And so I wanted to address it in the podcast. If you want more help with this, I actually have a special offer coming out where I'm going to be jumping on calls with people, literally able to walk them through their whatever the heck it is you're helping them with. And so that'd be the biggest way of,
retention. Yeah. So now we'll move toward the presentations. Now, just let us know about that, how someone can actually sell once all things set it up. Now, how actually sell the product. That is the monetization part, like how you can monetize, how anyone can monetize their podcast. Yeah. So you can start your presentation.
Righto, brother. I got authorization to share my screen.
Yeah.
So, all right. Righto. There it is. Screen share. Share the screen. It's not let. There it is. Okay. Let's do application window. I am going to want to share this one right here. Okay. Awesome. Okay. Is it good? It's sharing and everything?
No, not yet.
Is it not? Gosh, Parker's struggling, ladies and gentlemen. I apologize. Chrome has lost permission to capture my screen. I was literally just doing this the other day. Okay, so share screen, application window, and I want to share this one. Oh my gosh, it's not working. What the heck? Systems, security, privacy. I have literally done this so many times before. Why is it not working today? Okay. So I guess while I'm trying to figure that out, let me kind of talk through what is the biggest things that people struggle with identifying for a podcast monetization. So the biggest thing that people struggle with, the podcast monetization, is going to be the fact that they think that a podcast is actually where they make the most amount of money. That's not really true. That's not something I really stand by. You can definitely have people advertising on your own show. I don't really like that though. Like that's one of those things where I just do not understand why you would want to do that. Oh gosh, I'm literally trying to do two things at once in my automation. Okay, it is not letting me share my screen, brother. I don't know what is up on my end. I am so
No
sorry.
problem.
Okay.
No problem. Yeah.
All right, my man. All right. Well, then the biggest thing, I guess we'll talk through this with you guys having to stare at my ugly face. I apologize and not having the slides. But okay, so this is the biggest thing that people get wrong, right? They think that the podcast is where they get the most money from. That's not the case. Your podcast is a platform for you to create noise as well as traffic to your offers and basically as well as your courses. So that's the biggest misconception people have is that, okay, I'm going to create this podcast, going to make money off it. It's going to be awesome, yada, yada, yada. And that is not true. So what you have to do is instead of being like, okay, here, go to this place and fill out this order form to literally just pay me money, you need to make sure you're actually building up to what it is that your offer is. I have a 3-step outro system that I always use. And that is when I say by that, I mean that I'm not dropping people into the same outro with every one of my podcast episodes. Every one of my podcast episodes actually is going to be going to a specific type of thing. So if I'm talking a lot about, I really have 3 different things I talk about on my podcast, right? I'm going to talk to people how to create content that actually scales, exactly what I'm talking about right now, talk about what you just asked of traffic. How do I get people to come to my podcast, stay on the podcast, or go to my offers? And lastly, how to create that monetization strategy. So there's the 3 different things I'm going to use. Now, if I can think about that 3 different types of things that every podcast episode is going to be, why would I not have them sent to a different outro for each and every one of those things? If I'm going to help somebody with content, I actually will send them to my Facebook group because I'm going to be putting a lot of trainings in there, literally just how to create more content. And so that's going to be a huge thing that I actually do is I'm going to be doing a challenge. It's going to be actually in a messenger bot link. And it's going to be basically, hey, go to this Facebook group, get on the actual messenger bot, and actually it'll walk you through in a 5-step process in over 5 days how to actually create a podcast that makes you money with scaling your impact without taking you away from your business. So that's going to be a huge thing we're going to be rolling out soon. And so that's a huge thing you need to think about is the offer or the content that I'm giving to people. How is it that I can present an offer to implement what it is that I'm talking about? We're transitioning from this information age that we've been in for so long, for the past 10 years, really, to actually an implementation age. People don't care what you know. They now care about what is it that you can do for me with this information. And so for you, Sagar, I'm saying that right? Sagar? Sagar. Yeah. Sagar is what it is. Yeah. Okay, sorry. I hate the English language. It's the worst. It literally is the way we spell stuff out is stupid. So with everything though, for you, man, we talked about this last time of the fact that you have so many different things you're able to help people with. You have the lead generation, the lead, basically the lead nurturing, and the lead closing. Yeah. And so those are the 3 things that you're helping people with. And so each different one of those steps is able to have a different call to action. If you're going to help people with the lead generation, you have your social media thing. You're turning your Facebook profile into a lead generation magnet, correct?
Yep.
So that's one of the things you're able to do. Now you can even, if you're talking about actually lead closing, you could have sending them to a different page where you're sending them to basically of how to actually monetize an offer, how to get better affiliate deals and stuff like that, how to actually develop one-on-one relationships with people who have amazing audiences. And those are the different types of things that you can help people with. And so it's all about then of where is it that they need to be in order to get that result. For me, I hate checklists because I delete them as soon as I have them. I don't use them. It's like one of those things of like, no, just record it. Like, I love audio. Like, I'm from a podcast. Like, let me listen to something so that way I can learn it the best. And so if they're coming from a podcast episode, I would highly recommend, not giving them a checklist, but record yourself actually going over that checklist and give it to them as well to go over afterwards. And that's a great way as well, where you're able to have this amazing funnel. It's something I'm going to be working on, and I'm actually really excited to roll it out because I had a training that I did where it was all about podcast campaigns. So these campaigns that I was doing basically was how to get people excited for my podcast launch. I had people basically generating leads. I had people coming in and referring other people in. That way I would get more people. So it was a really good system. And I wanted to help other people with it. So I made sure that I turned that into a lead magnet. And it's going to actually be where I have the training that I gave of how to walk through it. Underneath is a link actually to download the Trello board or download basically the system in order to get it. And when they go to download it, it's going to send them to a different order form page. We're like, hey, this is waiting for you in your inbox. It's exactly where it is you sent it. But as well, I just helped you to create this campaign. I helped you break down the system. If you want as well, I can actually send you another training for $47 to actually help with the monetization side of it, of having a better webinar that'll help you to close clients, to actually have that monetized podcast launch. And that's a huge thing people struggle with. And on the other side, so it's one of those things where it becomes this easy step-by-step a system. It's called a double click funnel is what it's known as. And it's something that, gosh, the guy's name always escapes me. Not Dan Usher. Oh, gosh, I forget. But no, so that's something people really need to think about is what not only do I need to offer, but what platform will help them to implement it. And so that's the best way for you to actually scale your podcast with having a monetized coaching course and offer afterwards. Now, it goes into that is how you actually sell it. You have an offer at the very end. How you break down the false beliefs before is going to be a critical thing that you're going to need to do. So to systematically break down the false beliefs that people are going to need you to do, you are going to do the following. And that is, with everything that you offer, what is it that people are going to struggle with in order to get there? This is what's known as going after pain points. So every single one of the offers that I have, I literally write it down of like, okay, so this is what I'm offering. What type of person can buy this? And then I go into my podcast and go like, okay, so I need to break down this false belief. I need to give people this thing right here. I need to help people with this. And so that's a huge thing that if you can think about it that way, you will be able to have a lot more success with your podcast by getting people to literally focus in on the fact that you have helped them where they currently are. Now to get to the next place, you really need to help them to give them that offer and break down the false beliefs before. So that's a huge thing that hopefully it's been able to help you to think about that of what is the first problem people run into. This is I call it the domino framework. So the big domino statement is Russell Brunson had an amazing job doing it. If you have basically though, this next step of, okay, this is what I help people to do. The big domino statement, in case you didn't know, is how to X without Y in Z time is basically how to launch a podcast without sacrificing your time in 2 weeks or whatever it is. And so that's something basically you can help them with. That's the biggest thing. Now the domino framework is what is after that problem of you solve how to launch a podcast, you solve how to generate leads, you solve how to lose weight. They're going to now become a transformed avatar where they no longer are in the previous pain point. They are now ready for you to actually help them get to that next level. And that's what free content is all about, of how to get people to a level where they're able to invest in themselves more because you've helped to either improve their life, improve their health, their wealth, or relationships. That's the three things we're doing in this world. So hopefully that's been able to bring some value and everything like that. What's everybody saying in the comments, Sagar?
They are saying, yeah, true. Now it is all about how you can do for them, right? It is all
Yeah.
about them, yeah. And you said it right, exactly right. Like how that one thing you can help them to get achieved by their goal, right? That is the most important. The big domino statement says. And after that, getting that result, next time is what you can offer your next thing in the value ladder. Like people are completely now they are ready to take another actions, right? Is that something right?
Yeah, exactly. They're
Yep.
now ready to take that next step of action because
Yep.
you've validated their concerns and helped them to see that they don't have to be in this pointless pain. They're able to get out of it. Tony Robbins is somebody to study very deeply because he has in his event. Have you ever been to one of his events by chance, Sagar?
No. I have been never,
Yeah.
but I
No,
listen
so
online.
isn't he great? Seriously, he is just
Yeah,
he's
he's
fantastic.
awesome. His energy and he's completely transformed the audience. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so cool. He's just this charismatic dude, and everybody's just like, I want to be just like that. Like, that is so cool. And he has this for the privilege, actually, that was really gross. Sorry. I have this privilege of going to one of his events. It was when, lockdown wasn't happening. So we're able to go to these. And so literally jumped on a plane, went to Chicago. And while I was in this place, it was on the second or I think it was the third day. It was what's known as Transformation Day. So on Transformation Day, he has everybody stand up in the audience. There's 4,000, 5,000, there's probably 10,000 people at this audience, at this just place. It's jam-packed, it's full, it's the coolest thing. And while everybody is there, he's just like, okay, I want you to walk through this thing right now. And if you're listening to this, I want you to do the same. I want you to think about how amazing it would be if you accomplished the dream that you are set out to do. As well, guys, let me know in the comments, what is your dream? What is the thing that you would be able to, if I got this point, I would be successful? Not only, monetary, but maybe it's relationships, maybe it's health, all these things. That thing is going to be very important for you to focus on. And I want you to not only think about what it is, but what your life would be like if you made that dream. For me, one thing I'm just dying to do is help people who struggle with depression, anxiety, and suicidal ideation. And if I was able to help one person to stop that thought of I don't deserve to be here, to get to the point where they're able to be the father, the mother, the daughter, the sister, the son, the nephew, the grandparent that is able to change the world, that my life was successful, that I was able to help somebody.
Yes.
But now with that in your mind of your exact reason, maybe it's that you were able to finally afford to take your parents to that dream house they always wanted. Maybe it was finally able to stick it to your parents of the fact that, look, I'm successful. Like everything you told me was wrong. And I'm able to help more people now. That amazing thing, like Sagar, like you're smiling right now, man. I can tell you're vibing at least with this for sure.
I can see like Russell Brunson always say that the business is not about making money. Business is all about creating an impact, helping other people, serving certain group of people. It is not all about money. It is about serving.
Totally.
So that is the one thing always motivate me to help other people without like the money is come byproduct, right? It is a byproduct
Yeah.
of our effort of our something which we help others, right? That is the thing, like really, yeah.
Totally. Yeah. And now I want you to think about this terrible thing. I want you to right now think about if you continued on your current trajectory of telling yourself all of the false beliefs that you're not good enough, that you're not ready, that, so-and-so will not help you, that all of these things will not be good for you, that you will be in this place of pointless suffering and you will not be able to help that person. You will not be able to afford to have a family. You will not be able to afford to, pay them through college or, buy them their dress that they always wanted for prom if it's your daughter, or, helping them have, that thing that they're able to just be excited about, take them on the trips they have always wanted. Maybe you're not healthy enough to be on those trips with them. Maybe you don't have a good enough relationship with your kids to the point where they don't even trust you because they don't want to talk to you because you're so focused on your business, or you're so defeated by all of those things that you're not
Yes.
able to be there for them.
Yeah.
That is something that Tony Robbins walked the entire people through. And it turned this just audience of honestly 10,000 people, probably more, into this place of everybody was crying. Not just crying as like tears, like our eyes were closed. He told us to close our eyes, and just around us, you can just hear just people just weeping and wailing and just saying just all manner of just the F-bomb and just like all these words are just like, okay, probably shouldn't be saying that in public, but it was true of the fact that they did not want to feel like that anymore. And it's all about finding that point. For your
Yes.
specific audience, what is the ultimate failure that they would hit? And if you can think about that, if you can understand of the transformation that they need to have, not only in health, wealth, or relationships, but all together.
Yeah.
Because every single need we have, it always coincides. Just like you said,
Well,
you want to have the
yeah.
wealth. In order to have wealth, in order to basically have relationships and have health and everything, you're going to need to fund it with money.
Yes.
And so
So
that's a huge thing.
one of our participants also, Ritu, she mentioned that to help others transform and live happier and be unstoppable and being their full potential and being positive and emotionally intelligent. Wow,
That's
that's a
awesome.
great statement. Yeah.
That's beautiful. Seriously. And so to excite yourself to be able to do that is going to be something that will ignite you
Yes.
if you can start. And so that's the biggest thing. Your audience needs to hear that you can take them there. Now, I know you're thinking right now, every one of you who's listening, you're like, I'm not there yet. And it's true. There's no way of denying it. That you're not Tony Robbins, you're not Russell Brunson, you're not Dean Graziosi, or whoever it is that you're inspired by, Pat Flynn, Seth Godin, Grant Cardone, whoever it is you look up to. You're not there yet. But you never will be unless you start. Not only starting, but finding the right place to start. That's the biggest thing, that if you can not only think about your own personal success of the dominoes that need to fall, I call them leverage points of if I can help create this one thing, if it's a podcast, if it's a channel, if it's, a sales system, a training, that's going to be a thing that I'm able to use to help me have success in other areas. And that kind of goes into Elon Musk. He started with a rocket and was like, okay, this is going to be the foundation of our business, is something you're able to reuse to dramatically reduce the cost of space travel. And with this, you're able to then have a lot more ability to actually get into space. He's also on that rocket, sends up little tiny, or basically sends up these miniature, I don't know how miniature, they're probably ginormous, actual satellites that goes with the rocket into space. These satellites actually are going to create a global Wi-Fi network. So where no matter where you are in the world, you will have Wi-Fi, you will have internet.
Wow.
And literally that's going to fund SpaceX, because he's going to have capital coming in to fulfill his larger vision of getting to Mars.
Marsh, yeah.
Yeah. And so you need to think about that for yourself, of what is the thing you can do today that will allow you to actually catapult your success forward later. Podcasts and platforms is a great way to do this. Right now, with everybody focusing in on Sagar and me in my conversation, because we've created this place where, if you come here, you are going to, because of the amazing relationship that Sagar has created with you, that you are going to receive value from who it is, either he's talking or if somebody who's interviewing. Probably not me. Probably haven't received a bunch of value from me because I'm not as smart as Sagar is over here.
You are.
Yeah, but that's a huge thing to think about, of what asset can you create today?
Yeah, exactly. Like even I think Tony Robbins also mentioned in Expert Secret that one story about his NLP program, how he got started and started living from his coaching program and started teaching other people. So it
Yeah,
is not about that you be expert. So you can, if you are just one chapter ahead of others, then you can start putting that small things to your future success. Yeah.
totally. Yeah.
Mm.
And that's a huge thing is I talk a lot about in my trainings and everything, how to create your own framework of how to
Yeah.
actually, like, okay, this is the business I'm starting. And this is kind of the trajectory that people are going to need and how the offer I need to create for them. You don't have to create those offers. You can utilize those who have already started. Russell Brunson, and I'm sure, like this is something you talk about a lot, Sagar, is the fact that he has created so many different affiliate opportunities. He's got, trainings that you can literally sell. He's got ClickFunnels of courses you can sell. But
Yes.
there's all these different things that he's giving to people to have an opportunity to change the lives of others. And so if you're
Correct.
struggling with like, I don't know what to sell, think about that of like, what is the biggest problem I can help today? And who is it that has that I can help them with? You could use ClickFunnels to sell. You can create that affiliate page. You can create that funnel, that bridge page. But as well as you can literally just through the things that people have already done, their assets, you're able to help people as well as anybody else is.
EQ is the most important. Yeah, correct. So now let's suppose now many people have just not started with podcast. So what do you suggest? Like if someone is just starting out, what is the first step they should take? Now that is the main concern who never started yet.
Okay, so this is someone who does not have a podcast yet, correct?
Yeah, he
So
just
it's not
wanted to,
launched.
yeah,
Yeah.
just about
So
to thinking but not able to start. Like where should I start? What is the
yeah.
first step? Yeah.
Yeah. So the first thing I would think about is who is it you're able to help have the result the fastest? Because you can change your audience later. I'm a firm believer in that. I have a friend of mine, Alex Elliott. She has done an amazing job. She was one of the first people to actually start teaching people how to monetize Facebook groups. And I was
Yeah.
actually at
Wow.
the, she did an amazing
One
job.
group,
One
one
group
group
away.
average challenge.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was her challenge. And she did an amazing job at it. And she realized, though, I don't want to do this anymore. She's not being fulfilled by it. It's not as exciting. So literally, she transitioned from selling the one group away challenge, as well as she started selling ClickFunnels. She started selling the OFA challenge. That was the reason that I met her actually. I was at a ClickFunnels event that was all for people who had basically had success with, or basically the top affiliates for the OFA challenge. And so that was an amazing thing being there. With it though, it was becoming this thing of just like, okay, I'm unsatisfied here. So what's the next step that I can offer for people? Not only how to have, conversations with groups, but also with a one-on-one with emails. That's where she focuses on now. So you can think about that of like today, who is the person that can help the most? I would 100% first off, search out that group. Find out where they're meeting. So this is done actually with a huge thing is the fact that this is my strategy right here. I literally sat down and I was like, okay, so people who are being told to start podcasts, especially those who are online marketers, digital entrepreneurs, are those who are in the ClickFunnels world. So I literally went through Russell Brunson's entire traffic secrets book and turned every single point that he talked about into something that you can turn into a podcast. I turned his entire book into something where literally I'm able to talk about it for podcasting. You're able to do the exact same thing with the fact that, okay, so this major group right here, maybe you're helping people like for you, Sagar, is helping people who are actually, trying to sell, basically become an affiliate for ClickFunnels. You're able to be like, okay, so this is how to do it in this very specific way where people are unable to do it because Russell Brunson or Steve Larson or all these people are unable to talk to this really niche specific group. So that's where you can come in. You can be like,
Correct.
okay, hey guys, there's an unsatisfied market. I need to be the one to step in. I can help them. This is how I can be their leader. I can be, It's actually so basically the concept of creating stories. There's basically the relenting or gosh, what is it called? The unrelenting hero. Basically the hero who does not want to be one. This is kind of the if you ever heard of in the Bible and stuff like that, it's Jonah and the whale. Jonah literally is this guy. He's told to go somewhere to help these people, but he doesn't want to because he's like, I'm going to get killed. Like, I don't want to do that. Like, why would I try? And so it's like one of those things where he actually inspired others because of because of the things he struggled with. And so you can do the exact same thing for others by positioning that in the way. So with your podcast, then once you've identified that market, you can then think about what is it that I need to help them with first to have that success.
Yeah.
And that is really easy to turn into a podcast. And then later, if you're like, okay, now what do I sell to them? What do I give to them? I always recommend having a mini web. So once you're kind of going to be talking to people about your podcast, you're going to have your podcast launched. You are then going to transition them into, as well as if you want to know exactly how to launch your podcast and stuff like that, the step-by-step. It's kind of pointless to talk about on this because it's going to take me a good 10 to 15 minutes. And I don't think it's very useful of our time. Go to my Facebook group and it's right. And I'm going to be putting the training right in there coming up soon. Actually, it's yourpodcastfunnel.com/group. And you'll actually be taken right to it. And so that's,
this is your
so yeah,
website?
yourpodcastfunnel.com/group.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you just add group right after that slash, you'll be taken right to it. And so for that, you need to think about the fact of like, okay, when I launch this podcast, who is it that can help? How is it that I can help them get out of that pain point? And then you're going to be taking this another stage of where is it that that I can't help them on audio? You know, Sagar and I can only help you so much on this platform, talking to all of these different people. If we were to go a one-on-one call with each and every one of you, we would be able to deliver more value because we're able to talk to one specific person.
Correct.
And so that is something you need to think about of actually dwindling down the quantity or amount of people to have actual good quality conversations with them.
That's good. That's the right way. Yeah.
Yeah. And so
Yeah,
hopefully that
perfect.
helps the people basically when they're starting, find out different ways of who it is you're helping and how it is you're able to help them get out of pointless suffering.
That is the most important. Even I also search about what the biggest problem people are facing. Even if also success leaves clues, right?
Success leaves clues, dude.
Clues.
Amen.
Yeah. So definitely, whenever there is a success, there is just something gap in it, right? You need to figure it out, and you need to find out the solution for it. Now, if you solution for it, then definitely people will jump to and give more support to you. And perfect. So now we'll discuss one thing just you wanted to share, and I will close almost 45 minutes, and let's share one thing that you wanted to share with the audience, what they can do it. What is the one thing you wanted to share?
One thing of basically what they can do today.
Yeah.
Yeah. So one thing that you can do today, I would highly recommend doing a Facebook Live today of calling out who it is that you can serve.
Yes.
Not who it is you can sell to, but who it is you're able to help. There's it's called the Epiphany Bridge script. It's in Expert Secrets of Russell Brunson. I'm sure Sagar has a link that he can share with you. And if you don't have it. And but it's this amazing book where literally it's this amazing sequence where you're able to literally think about the fact of just like, okay, here is why not only I'm qualified, but why is it that I care about what it is that you need? And so I would think about that for Facebook Live today. Do 2 to 5 minutes of this script. Why it is that I became who it is I am today. What it is that I really feel like people are struggling with. And what it is and how as well they can change their own life today. I would do those 3 things for 2 to 5 minutes. And I've actually had clients do this. And that same day, they had 2 people literally DM them of them wanting their service. It's an amazing, amazing thing where you literally tell people how it is I can help you. Not only because I can, but because I want to. It's my calling. It's what it is I need to do. And so find different ways of doing that today. That's what I would recommend.
Great. That's great, Parker. And Parker, like if somebody wanted to connect with you, how they can connect with you? What are the steps for how they can get in touch with you if somebody wanted to launch their podcast, start their journey? How they can
Yeah.
get in touch? Yeah.
So best way to get in touch with me, I'm on Facebook the most probably. So go to Facebook and literally look up Parker Woodward. I'm the guy who's literally doing this to my ClickFunnels shirt. So yeah, that you could probably see me pretty easily. And as well, the link right down that Sagar just talked about, yourpodcastfunnel.com/group. That's where actually I'm going to be putting the training of how to launch your podcast in a successful way that actually generates revenue for you and without actually sacrificing your time, which is a huge problem people run into. Their podcast becomes a time sucker as opposed to an asset. And so, yeah, that'd be the best way of reaching out to me. Excited to see who I can help the most next. There's a lot of amazing things we've all got coming up, and I cannot wait to hear the amazing things that you guys are all able to do. Yeah.
Yeah, even I'm excited to invite you again to this group, to this community, and share some success stories from this group itself. I just
Of
wanted
course.
to, yeah, so that they can have a good success stories, how they have launched the podcast. That's great. Thank you so much, Parker, giving so much of valuable time and great value bomb you have given. And I hope everybody listen to it and they can implement right away. And thank you so much. It's been honored to have you in this room.
Of course, Sagar. Hope everybody has an amazing day.
Bye.